Power has destroyed more men than war ever did. History is filled with leaders who seized control and never let go. But in 1783, one man stood at the edge of absolute power, an army loyal only to him, a nation begging him to rule, and no force on earth that could stop him. George Washington could have become a king. He didn't. He did something so shocking that even his enemies couldn't believe it. Born with no crown, no throne, and no prophecy of greatness, he rose through failure, hunger, and frozen battlefields to defeat the most powerful empire in the world. But his greatest victory wasn't on a battlefield. It was the moment he chose to walk away from power. Why would a man who had everything give it all up? Because that single decision didn't just create a country, it changed the meaning of leadership forever. And what he did next is the reason America exists today. Power corrupts. Absolute power consumes. But what if one man held absolute power and chose to walk away? In a world ruled by kings, emperors, and tyrants, one general stood victorious, armies at his command, a nation begging him to rule. And he said no. No crown, no throne, no dictatorship. His name was George Washington, and without him, America would not exist. But who was this man really? A fearless warrior? A reluctant leader? Or a silent architect of freedom? Tonight, we uncover the life of the man who could have been king, but chose to become the father of a nation. Stay with this story, because the final decision he made changed the future of the world forever. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, in the quiet countryside of Virginia. No trumpets announced his arrival, no prophecy predicted greatness. He was not born royal, he was not born wealthy by empire standards. His father died when George was just 11 years old. No inheritance of power, no elite education in Europe, no royal blood. What he did inherit was something far more dangerous, ambition mixed with discipline. As a young boy, Washington was tall, reserved, and intensely observant. He spoke little, but watched everything. While others played, he practiced control. While others talked, he listened. And deep inside, a fire began to burn. At just 21 years old, George Washington was sent into the wilderness on a mission that would ignite a global conflict. A message, a warning, a demand. The British Crown wanted the French out of North America. Washington delivered the message, but history delivered the consequences. Shots were fired, blood was spilled. The French and Indian War had begun. Washington tasted war early, and he tasted failure. He made mistakes. Men died under his command. He surrendered a fort. Many thought his career was finished. But Washington learned something vital. Leadership is forged in defeat, not victory. He studied tactics. He studied terrain. He studied men. Most importantly, he learned patience. Years passed. Tensions rose. The British Empire demanded taxes. The colonies demanded respect. No representation, no voice, only obedience. The colonists were angry, but anger alone does not make revolutions. They needed a leader, someone disciplined, someone respected, someone who did not seek power for himself. Their eyes turned to one man, George Washington. In 1775, war became inevitable. The Continental Congress faced a terrifying question. Who would lead an army that barely existed against the most powerful empire on earth. Washington stood silently. When chosen, he did not celebrate, he did not smile, he simply accepted. "I do not think myself equal to the command I am honored with." Those were his words. No ego, no arrogance, just duty. And with that acceptance, Washington stepped into history. The Continental Army was a nightmare. No uniforms, no weapons, no pay. Farmers, blacksmiths, teenagers, facing trained British soldiers. Disease killed more men than bullets. Desertions were constant. Supplies vanished. Winter approached. Hope disappeared. And Washington stood alone in the darkness. Winter of 1777, Valley Forge. This was not a battlefield. It was a graveyard of dreams. Men froze to death. Feet bled through snow. Food was scarce. Many officers demanded Washington resign. Many soldiers cursed his name. But Washington stayed. Every day, every night. He walked among the men, shared their suffering, shared their hunger. And something changed. Loyalty was born, not through fear, but through shared pain. Christmas night, 1776. Snow fell. Ice filled the river. Washington made a decision that would either save the revolution or end it forever. He ordered his army to cross the Delaware River. Exhausted men, frozen waters, a suicidal mission. They crossed anyway. At dawn, they attacked, and they won. A miracle. Hope returned. The revolution lived. The war dragged on. Battles were won. Battles were lost. Washington lost more fights than he won, but he never lost the war, because he understood one truth: survival was victory. As long as the army existed, the revolution lived. Then came France. Allies, ships, support. The balance shifted. Yorktown. British General Cornwallis was trapped. Land forces surrounded him. French ships blocked escape. Washington gave the order. The cannons roared, and the British surrendered. The war was over. America was free. Washington stood at the peak of power. The army loved him. The people worshipped him. The nation depended on him. Many wanted him crowned king. History had seen this moment before. Caesar crossed the Rubicon. Napoleon seized the throne. The world waited. What would Washington do? In 1783, Washington did the unthinkable. He resigned. He gave up command, returned power to Congress, went home. King George III reportedly said, "If he does that, he will be the greatest man in the world." And he was right. America struggled. No unity, no strong government. Once again, Washington was called. Reluctantly, he returned. He presided over the Constitutional Convention. His presence alone held the nation together. In 1789, George Washington became the first president of the United States. There were no rules, no precedents. Everything he did would define the future. He chose restraint, balance, unity. 2 terms. Then he stepped down. Again, a second time, he walked away from power. In 1799, George Washington fell ill. Within days, he was gone. The nation mourned. The world watched. A farmer, a soldier, a leader, but above all, a man who proved that true power lies not in ruling others, but in ruling oneself. Empires rise by force, they fall by greed, but nations endure when built on sacrifice. George Washington did not conquer the world.
he gave it an example. And that is why, centuries later, his shadow still stands tall. Because some men make history, and some men become it.